Hello, and welcome to Songs for the Struggling Artist, the blogcast. This is episode 210. My name is Emily Rainbow Davis. I am recording a field still in Long Island, which is very nice. I might miss the city, except for the city is not as it usually is. So, I don't really miss it as it was when I left it. So, I'll be back, obviously. But for now, Long Island is the place. So today's blogcast is about having a writing practice, how it's hard to have a writing practice, I guess. Ultimately, I'm grateful to have a writing practice post, but I get kind of twitchy about like gratitude posts and such. Like ultimately, that's what the thrust of this is sort of seeing the effects of having a practice and being grateful for that. But yeah, I don't know about you guys, but I feel like every so often someone I know will be like, and now every day I will post something I'm grateful for. And I see why it's good for the person. But I don't know, something about it that always is just, it's a kind of a strange performance somehow. Anyway, I hope this is not that. My hope, I think, was to have people feel less like loaded about trying to start a practice, because just like how hard it can be right now in the midst of a pandemic to like concentrate or to like be creative. I mean, I sort of being away now for a couple of weeks, like I feel like it took a solid 2 weeks before I dropped a kind of intense survival vibe. I don't know what else to call it, but I think it took like 2 weeks before I suddenly dropped the like intense fear that I was living with and not fully conscious of all the time. So that is not a very... it's not the most conducive to creativity, that kind of feeling. So anyway, I'll read it to you. I've broken it down quite a bit before the reading, but here it is. It is called "Now Would Be a Hard Time to Start a Creative Practice." For well over a decade, I have had a daily writing practice. I've developed various pieces of it over the years, but it has included, consistently, at least an hour of concentrated writing. I have written about it before. If you want to know more, you can read that there on the blog. The thing about practice, the practice of anything, I suspect, is that it is not always easy. But the fact of it makes some other things easier. Let's say I had a daily swim practice, which Lord knows if I had access to a pool, I would have. It might be hard to get in the pool some days, but surely I'd get better at swimming over time and perhaps even challenge myself to learn new strokes as time went by. Days wherein I didn't swim might feel strange somehow and a little off. This is true for a writing practice as well. But the real gift of practice is when the times are tough. Take now. This coronavirus situation has made it incredibly hard to put pen to paper. A side note, I wrote this 2 months ago, just publishing now. Now there's even more going on that might make writing challenging. Every time I sit down to write, it is a fight. But I keep going because it is my practice to write, even if it's hard, and usually after a few pages, I'm back in business. If I did not have the benefit of a previous practice, of mountains of evidence that wading through the hard parts was worth it, I'm fairly certain I'd have quit in the first 10 to 15 minutes. As it stands, I suffered through about 3 pages of agonizing, slow, word-by-word garbage before I started writing this piece, which has flowed rather easily after all the halting resistance at the top. That's the practice, buoying me up, keeping me flowing when I feel like I'm going to sink. If you don't have a practice yet, I'm not sure now is the time to start one. I mean, give it a shot if you want to, but it feels to me like it would be very hard to begin something new in this time, or even to learn something new. I know everyone's yammering on about how now is the perfect time to learn that language you've always wanted to study, but I'm skeptical. Human brains learn best when they are safe and secure. When there's a lot of excitation and fear around, learning doesn't tend to stick. At least that's the theory we work with in Feldenkrais. From what I understand, we are most receptive to learning when we are comfortable and when our safety is not at stake. For many people, that is not right now. I feel like establishing a practice is similar. You create one in good times, and it will sustain you in bad times. I'm so grateful for mine right now, but I would not want to start it at a time like this. It feels like it might be doomed to fail. I can feel all the moments I'd be tempted to give up and toss away my pen. I write through those moments because of practice. That's what practice is for, I think. Not so much to create genius writing, but to be a support for us when the sky is falling. Dancers with a dance practice keep dancing, even if they have to adapt to their small spaces and such. Singers keep on singing, even if it disturbs their neighbors in confinement. We just keep afloat, doing the practice we've always done, and it will keep us going when all else falters. So I had a guy respond to this blog post, comment on the actual blog, as opposed to like Facebook or Twitter or whatever, who was like, well, I'm finding it very easy to create habits in this time. Which, you know, like on one hand, like, oh, that's great. That's an alternate point of view. How nice for him that it's easy for him. But it's just a funny point of view to have or take or express. Maybe, I don't know. So like, cool, man. That's cool. That's cool. I'm glad it's easy to start habits. I don't know. I feel like habits are different, though, than a creative practice. Like, because he was like, I now take a cold shower at this time every day or whatever, because I asked him what some of his successes had been. And one of them was something about, like, cold showers. And that's very different than a creative practice where you're, like, trying to enter into the recesses of your mind to like access your spirit, to, you know, get into the goods of your soul or whatever. Like, I think a practice is actually different than a habit. So like maybe now is actually a great time to like set a schedule and like get out, you know, to, I don't know, you do a daily leaf raking. I don't know what people do. But it just strikes me that that's like it's a different thing. It's a different thing. Anyway, I appreciate comments on the blog. I don't mean to deter any of you who might want to say something. But sometimes. Anyway. So, song here. I almost skipped this blog, actually, in terms of putting it on the blogcast, because it's like a little shorty, and I didn't really have a song for it. And all the songs about habits that I could find were all about bad habits. There's nothing about like creating a practice or practicing or doing something good. Anyway, so what I realized though is that I could put a song of mine that I haven't put up before. So I looked through the sort of list of ones that I have managed to somehow not put here on the blogcast, and to see if there was one that might relate or be appropriate. And there was. It's a song that I wrote. Gosh, it's probably been 12 years now since I wrote it, but yeah, that's right. Wow. So it's called Water, River, Stone, and it's there's a kind of habitual bit about, nature smooths away stones. There is a practice. It's not an intentional practice. It's not like a practice of the mind, but I think entering into the flow is part of creative process. And the song is definitely about flow. It is a song about learning how to go with the flow. Fairly literally. So I'm going to throw that here in just a minute. You'll notice that the sound quality is not as good as most of the recordings that I tried to do here. Not that the sound quality is like amazing usually, but this was before I had a mic of any kind. So it was like recorded with the mic that, was installed in my computer, which is basically just a few holes. So there, I think, you'll just be able to hear the difference, I think. But I there's something about the quality of the recording that was like exactly how I was feeling at the time. So I think in this case, I'm sacrificing the quality that I could get from re-recording with the raw energy of the moment. So Water, River, Stone will be here shortly. Meanwhile, if you like the podcast, please tell someone about it. Share it in your various locations. If you would like to support the podcast with your monies, we've got patreon.com/Emily R. Davis. There's also Ko-fi and PayPal. All of those links are in the show notes. Also, if you feel inclined, reviews are awesome. Stars are awesome. Liking and subscribing things, all awesome. So, those are the ways to help. And without further ado, I give to you Water, River, Stone.
Soft persistence, a quiet fluid insistence. Water, river, stone. Water, river, stone. I want to flow round the bend. No fear about where this ends. Just flow with the water's flowing. Doesn't matter its shape is changed and rendered a new